In yoga class, via the breath, we want to try to elicit a response in the body. In Pilates class, with the breath, we're trying to elicit a different response in the body. So the parasympathetic nervous system, keeping us calm and relaxed, can be really engaged and managed with our breathing through our nose. Breathing through your nose keeps everything like calm. In Pilates class, we breathe through our mouth because we want to have a little bit of that fight or flight. Because if you're in my hot Pilates class and we're doing push-ups and crunches and burpees and side planks, you got to fight a little bit for your shit.
Mental health, emotional health, physical health, deeper understanding, actionable takeaways to improve your quality of life. We're the Level Up Guys.
Even guys can have emotionally literate conversations, and we're the guys that are going to prove it.
What's up, you guys? Here we go again. We're the Level Up Guys. I'm here with my best friend, Jarrett. My name is Billy, and we're talking the talk. We talk all the time, have dope conversations, and we want to share them with you. So one thing, Jarrett, that happened to me recently that I was really excited to share about you is those motorcycle trainings that I went to. 2 weekends in a row. I've been geeking out. 2 weekends in a row, I got to go do motorcycle trainings. And it was really exciting and super scary. And I was thinking about a lot of stuff we talk about along the way in your line of work, and in my line of work, being able to like manage our emotions, manage how our body responds, all the stuff to do with the nervous system.
Yeah.
Because this training that I was doing, you know, I'm doing things that made me uncomfortable. I'm riding to the edge. I'm learning new stuff. It's raining out with a bunch of people, you know. Let's talk about some of like, what are like some of the foundations of the nervous system and like, how do we manage some of these emotions in potentially scary moments?
Yeah, I love that question, Billy. So, I mean, for me, I think that there are a couple terms that we got to get out front, right? We have the sympathetic part of the nervous system. We have the parasympathetic, and I think also helpful would, well, actually, let's start with those. Let's keep it simple. And I know that you do a lot of work in yoga, with kind of regulating these and making sure that they are managed in a healthy, productive way. Can you say a little bit about that?
Well, it's interesting. You're right. You're absolutely right. In yoga class, via the breath, we want to try to elicit a response in the body. But then in Pilates class, with the breath, we're trying to elicit a different response in the body. So the parasympathetic nervous system, keeping us calm and relaxed, you know, can be really engaged and managed with our breathing through our nose. So like hot yoga, it's super challenging class, really hard, can suck at times. Breathing through your nose keeps everything like calm. So right underneath the surface, right, we have that like calm feeling. It's easy to come back to even when times get tough, right? The parasympathetic. In Pilates class, we breathe through our mouth because we want to have a little bit of that fight or flight. Because if you're in my hot Pilates class and we're doing push-ups and crunches and burpees and side planks, you got to fight a little bit for your shit. You know, it's not easy to do.
Yeah.
So they're actually really good tools to be able to manage, I think, right? But oftentimes we get, like I'm riding this motorcycle at training, and I think it's our lizard brain, like the amygdala, has us have this fear, like I'm gonna die, like there's a Bengal tiger that's gonna jump out of the jungle and like rip my face off. But I knew like that wasn't true, you know? So my work and my technique, I'm gonna breathe conscientiously through my nose, nice deep breaths, keep so I can like manage this situation. How is our nervous system affected, or how is our bodies and our minds affected, Jarrett? Mostly our minds, like when we don't really have awareness of it or control of it so much.
Yeah. So you're talking about something called neuroception. And basically this is from the like kind of polyvagal theory, not that we need to get into it, but so our nervous system is constantly, subconsciously, and when I say constantly, I mean every millisecond, you know, is assessing risk around us and deciding what action to take. And this is all happening beneath the surface, beneath our awareness. And our mind and our thoughts are going to reflect what the nervous system knows from that assessment. So I'm sure there have been times where you have like a gut feeling, or if like somebody says to you, I feel it in my bones, right? Or I can't describe how I know this, but fill in the blank. Oftentimes that's the neuroception in our nervous system kind of speaking to us after assessing something. the challenge is that the way that it assesses things and sends the message to the brain, right? The brain is trapped in a dark room, essentially. It's our skull, right? And the only access that it has is through our five senses. And, you know, and for the most part, our five senses. And so, but it's not getting direct information. It's getting, you know, very generalized information that's passed over to the brain. And so that's kind of what makes it a little bit tricky. But yeah, I mean, neuroception is the term for what you're referring to.
I looked it up because I was curious about it. 100 billion neurons in our brain. 100 fucking billion. That's a lot of anything. That's a lot. So in my world, because we're dealing with like physical exercise, body movement, like there's the motor neurons. So if I want to wiggle my finger, like I think the thought and the energy goes, you know, from my brain through my spinal cord out to like the motor neurons. Then there's the sensory neurons, how things taste and smell, right? And then the interneurons is kind of what you're referring to. Like if I was going to like put my hand on a hot stove in the very last second, it's that connection between like our mind and our body where we say, oh, I got to get it off it immediately.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. That interconnectivity.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, for your motorcycle riding, you know, you are reasonably assessing risk, right? Like you are going through, you know, at whatever speed you were going. What was your fastest speed?
Well, it wasn't actually about speed because we were on a track and it was a small track. So it was only
Okay.
like a certain straightaway. So I get up to like 80, which is no big deal. I mean,
okay, fine. I mean, you ride motorcycles. For me, that sounds like a big, like I'm oftentimes not going 80 in my car. Sometimes I am, but
yeah,
you're exposed to the world, right? With just some
right.
padding and things like that. So of course your nervous system is assessing risk, and there's some part of you that has to regulate and decide, you know, to release the brake, right? And or to not, you know, to put on the brake at times or whatever when the risk would be high for not doing so. And I mean, the brakes are actually kind of an interesting way to think about it because we do have a part of our nervous system or part of our body that that functions as a brake. It's called the vagus nerve. And its job is essentially to apply the brakes to slow or speed up the nervous system according to what it believes it needs. So that could be through heart rate, you know, like kind of pumping fast, pumping slow, and the variability of being able to go between breath rate, which I know you do a lot of work with, the release, you know, telling our organs to release neurotransmitters and hormones, whether it be, you know, like cortisol is a stress hormone, things like that. And so when we are, you know, experiencing that sympathetic, which you said you can kind of, if I remember correctly, breathe through your mouth to like get energized and kind of get that fight flight response in Pilates, you know, thing like Pilates class, the brake is released, right? The vagus nerve brake is released so that we are sending the message from our body to our mind, push, like go, mobilize, right? Whereas for things like the, you know, the parasympathetic, that might be a little bit more putting on the brake, right? And slowing the system down through the ways that you mentioned.
Yeah. There's a big difference. Say we're doing yoga class and we're doing like backward bending, right? So you're like leaning back all the way this way. If you breathe through your nose, you're just signaling your nervous system that it's an intentional action. You're doing this on purpose. If you hold your breath or you breathe through your mouth, your body's going to think that you're falling. And I see a lot of students, me when I first started, like I'd put my head back and I get a little bit scared, like I might fall down. So I'd hold my breath and I get really tense or start to breathe through my mouth. And there was a lot of resistance to it. By breathing through your nose, like you can, oh, I'm going in this direction and this is on purpose. We're doing this, we're good, I'm in control of it, and I can manage it and regulate it.
Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, and I like, there's definitely something about purposeful actions, right? So I think, you know, our like may have said before, there's a difference between our thoughts, like knowing that we're in a safe situation, and our body actually believing it, right? And I think what you're referring to is like, we can send what's called bottom up messages, right? So from the body up to the mind, to believe that like I'm in a safe situation, I'm regulated, and I'm going to make a decision as if this situation were safe. So brain thoughts, you can follow suit, right? So the message, it's a feedback loop. The messages can be sent top down or bottom up. And so like you're referring to breathing intentionally through the nose, right? It's another reason why walks are really great for relaxing for a number of reasons, but our eyes are doing something that's kind of, if we're not looking at our phones or looking, straight down, our eyes are kind of scanning the horizon. And rather than focused in on one particular point, which would indicate danger or, something to run to escape or run away from, that, or to fight. So that's one thing about walks. The other thing is like, how often has somebody casually walked towards something dangerous or casually walked away from something that they need to be, that's chasing them, right? So it's, again, it's like a purposeful, I'm going to send my brain the message that by the nature of how I'm moving, we're safe.
I'm curious how much the environment that you're in, for example, a lot of yoga studios, a lot of yoga classes, not necessarily mine. You walk into the yoga room, and it's very quiet, and there's candles, and it smells like sandalwood incense, and the teacher's like, "Hello, students, welcome to yoga." And the environment curates this sensation. Because if you were walking in a beautiful autumn day in the woods with your puppy, that would be amazing. But if you're walking down like a dark alley, in Southie,
Yeah.
and it's like 2 a.m, and you're like, you might have a little bit, maybe like, how much does our environment that we have that we can create influence it? Because if you took my yoga class and my Pilates class, like Pilates class is like a rave. There's lights flashing, there's black lights, there's pumping EDM music. Feels like you're in a club. Feels like an easy, because that's the energy we're trying to create. And yoga class,
activate.
Yeah, right. It's a little bit quieter in yoga class. Doesn't smell like sandalwood in my place, but it's a little bit. So our environment that we're around could really influence that too.
Yeah. How do you think that translates to outside of the yoga room, or let me say, how has it for you, or students that you know?
I'm going to give you my motorcycle training. I'm going to circle back to that.
Yeah.
So two weekends ago, I was on a track getting trained in certain stuff. And then last weekend, it was a skills assessment by the local police department. So it was like 8.5 hours. There was classroom time and there was street time. And I had a motorcycle cop following me around, assessing my skills. Now, has there ever been a point in your life where there's ever been a cop behind you where you were like, "This is great. I'm so psyched." Even if you're doing nothing wrong. I could be like 10 and 2. I haven't been on my phone. I'm nervous. The cops are behind me, right?
Billy, there hasn't been one time where that's been the case for me, just to put out there.
Never. No, nobody has. All the people that watching this, like, there's no chance. Now, if the police were to pull you over periodically and say, "Hey, you're having a great day. You're driving. I'm so proud of you right now driving. So the city has decided to reward good drivers. Here's $100, and here's a little sticker so you can put it on the back of your bumper for some street cred. You'd be great." If that were the scenario, then when a cop is behind you, might be like, "Oh, maybe I'll get $100. Maybe I'm doing great." But we've been conditioned to have like nervous response. So I started out like I'm motorcycling, and there's a motor officer right behind me, checking all my skills, checking how I'm riding, making sure that I'm safe, doing all the right stuff. And it took me a couple minutes
Yeah.
to just be like, ride your motorcycle, no big deal. Like, this is okay, But coming back to my breath, trying to have like positive attitude, good body position, making sure my shoulders weren't up on my ears like this. like make sure that my body is in the right spot, my breath is in the right spot, my mind is in the right spot. And it's a continuous thing, you know? It's like the OODA loop. You're just going back to it, back to it, back to it, back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what it sounds like you're kind of referring to is you don't want the vagus nerve brake completely released, because then you're in sympathetic with this guy following you, with this police officer following you, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And so you could be more likely to become agitated, overwhelmed, and frantic, right? Like with your what you're doing, and even distracted by your internal experience, right? And
Mhm.
then that's not necessarily safe driving. But
Mhm.
also, it sounds like you maybe don't want a fully parasympathetic experience either, because you might start tuning out things that you actually want to be alert to when you're driving a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So there's a term for that kind of vagus activation. It's called when it activates the ventral system. And it's about having an alertness with the brake is relaxed. It's not released and it's not pressed. There's a brake. So that's when we can feel more like engaged and kind of safe and connected to what we're doing or to people that we're with. And it's when our prefrontal cortex comes online. That's where we do all of our kind of rational thinking and more language-based stuff.
So tell me
Yeah.
this. I've learned that the vagus nerve, I'm pretty sure it's the largest nerve in our body. You can activate that in a positive way by humming or singing, right?
Yeah.
People at my work, people at the studio think I'm out of my mind. They think I'm a psycho for multiple reasons. But one reason is like I'm often like humming and singing little songs. And I'm a one-star singer, you know. Look, I'm not really a singer, but like it keeps this positive endorphins, right, being released into my body because I'm like, I'm whistling a little bit, right, creating a little bit of happiness and joy in my system. True?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and there are other things that we can do to um, kind of get that vagus nerve variance, right? So the vagus nerve allows us to move between our states kind of more freely rather than like, like being, thrown in one and then thrown across to the other. And so, yeah, so humming is a great one. Another one that people talk about is the diver's reflex. It kind of activates a slowing down. So that would be parasympathetic, right?
Mhm.
And you can do that by like throwing cold water on your face or actually fully submerging, but it has to do with like your face kind of going down towards water, having some water in your mouth, potentially gargling, right, would be kind
Yeah,
of the mix between that and humming. But
yeah.
then even through careful breath work or purposeful breath work, or through like gentle touch, like we can even kind of just give our own bodies, or if we're co-regulating with somebody else, we can use gentle touch as a way to kind of activate that vagus nerve in that ventral space where, okay, I'm feeling connected, I'm feeling safe. It's why, sometimes when like a strategy that couples will use when they are in a conflict or disagreement or whatever, is they will do some kind of purposeful touch while they are engaging, right? So it might be like holding hands or cuddling side by side while they're having the hard conversation, or if they're like taking a walk, as we said before, they might be holding hands in some way. That really regulates the system and allows us to not go to this place of danger, this like I'm in danger, or this relationship's in danger, or whatever. It allows us for more securely attached behaviors.
Is that the old self hug?
So yeah, I mean, a self hug can be a form of it. It really depends on what each person like gets that feeling from, that feeling of being relaxed, and but not so relaxed that we are in our freeze response, right? That's another stress response, and that's the dorsal vagal activation. And so with that, we might be, there might be some type of relaxation behaviors we have that make us kind of numb out or shut down, so we're feeling like this complete lack of energy. What we really want is to, when we're relaxed, to feel like we don't have a ton of energy, but we could activate if we wanted to, right?
Hmm.
Rather than feeling trapped in that freeze response state.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it depends. So each strategy depends on what works for the person. And so, or for the couple, if it's, in the form of that. Eye contact, like prolonged eye contact when you're first in a relationship, there can be a lot of prolonged eye contact. And usually that is one of the things that helps people feel connected and safe in the relationship. And I see you, we're doing it. Yeah. Um, Thank you for that. I feel more relaxed already. And yeah, so there's a variety of different things that people can do, but usually it has to do with something where it's that bottom up message, right? We're sending a message through the body, through the nervous system to our brains that we're safe, and we're helping our body believe that we're in a safe space, so that our brains can, and so that our thoughts essentially can then be thoughts of safety. And because oftentimes it's that feedback loop of like, a thought might not feel safe, and so I'm going to act in a certain way. My behavior, my body is going to do something, my nervous system, right? But yeah, so we can send messages both ways to regulate and to help experience wellness and success with ourselves and our relationships.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. Motorcycle riding, because there's a 30% higher chance of getting in a fatal accident than driving a car. So you have to be calm and relaxed, parasympathetic nervous system, but you also have to be fully engaged and aware, like a very intense way, of your environment. So I guess that leads me to believe that it's never binary. It's not here or here, depending on what you want to be doing. If we have to sprint to get away from a grizzly bear, breathe through your mouth. We have all the adrenaline, but for 45 seconds, we're going to be high speed. Probably still die because it's a grizzly bear, but he was just an example. But then for other situations, like, if you're starting to get frustrated at the DMV, sit in the chair, just breathing through your nose, keeping everything calm, right? Being able to like go for a walk prior to a thing, to be able to put ourselves in the best position. So many of these things happen like just reactionary or in our subconscious, trying to put ourselves in good positions for success.
Yeah. And I mean, if like, let's say that we're standing in the line at the DMV and or RMV, as some people will, is it is sometimes now. So we can't take a walk, because then we lose, or maybe, I don't know, now they give numbers, I guess, so we could maybe take a walk, but we can't really escape the environment, right? What are some things that you could maybe do, or could you speak to some things that people might do in their environment to get their nervous system in a good place?
Physically with their body,
Good
I mean,
place.
breath work is the primary thing. I mean, there's so many different styles of breath work. You can think about the Navy SEALs who do box breathing. You can think
Mhm.
about pranayamas and kapalabhatis. There's the physiological sigh is one of the best things you can do, like immediately regulate it, which is taking a nice deep inhale, and at the very end, take a little bit more air in, and a nice strong exhale. So your deep, 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 deep inhale, and a little bit more at the end, and a nice strong exhale. And within like 3 or 4 breaths, we feel, the physiological sigh. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the best things for sure.
I remember learning somewhere, I think on a podcast, I'm sure, that mimics what we do when we're trying to re-regulate from crying. So it's
Yep,
like,
I heard that too.
yeah,
Yeah, we do it automatically. You catch your breath. We
right.
do that like in an auto. So there's an intentional way of eliciting that same response.
Yeah. And so one thing that I want to talk about with the nervous system, and, it is amazing to me, like potentially a miracle that our body is a system that knows what it needs to do to reach equilibrium again, right? And so many times we have these protective or defense mechanisms in place that we minimize our emotional experience, right? Because we don't want to cry. It's like, okay, crying is like literally the way that our body alchemizes certain feelings, like release them. And so, but you know, I don't know about you, but there's definitely a period in my life where it wasn't even purposeful. It was just I wouldn't let myself get to the emotional experience where I might cry. That was through kind of all, basically all top up strategies rather than like bottom up strategies or top down. I was very much in my head at that time, and or perceiving the world and processing the world from my head only. And it's been a real goal, I would say a successful goal of mine, to let my body do what it's trying to do. It has this wisdom that it's, from however many years of evolution of like, oh yeah, you need to re-regulate. Let me do that for you. Right. Our bodies literally heal themselves. I think we've, said, in some other contexts, and it also can heal what's within too, but we often don't let it, for such a variety of reasons. But it's just amazing to me that, and so cool that our bodies, like when we are able to listen and let our bodies lead from a place of regulation, or even from a place of like seeking re-regulation, it kind of knows what it's trying to do.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation. I'd be excited to record a podcast about how conditioned we are from what we're taught growing up.
Yeah.
You gotta tough it out, big boys don't cry, whatever it is that we're conditioned to be,
Yeah.
as men, as young boys, as ladies, as women, like how we're supposed to like fulfill these roles. I mean, it's a whole side tangent, but yeah,
For the future.
yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. And so so we have the breath work as kind of a takeaway strategy. There's like, gentle touch, or in the form of, so it can be like giving yourself a face massage, right? It can be even, those like head scratchers that they have that like,
Oh yeah, that was like the thing like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
those things, or even, or having somebody, if you're in the position to, then having somebody give you a back massage, or just hold hands, or there's another one that relates to sending our body messages to the brain, and it's with bilateral stimulation. It's when there's a couple different forms of it, but you can cross your arms and then start tapping on your legs. So right arm taps on left leg, left arm taps on right leg. And because the brain hemisphere, like the left brain hemisphere, controls the motor of the right side, right? And vice versa, the right hemisphere controls the motor of the left side. But then also we're perceiving. So you had mentioned like motor neurons and like and neurons that receive the sensations, right? And so it's like this kind of cross thing that goes back and forth to stimulate both parts of the brain, so that it's activating and processing, and that's another way of sending the body. Like again, it's a very purposeful thing that we might do, and so it helps with the interconnectedness of the left and right hemispheres.
Yeah, I have this routine in the morning when I get up, doing my thing. Part of my routine is I lay on the floor, and I have a puppy and a kitty. Okay. So Chili, my puppy, just turned 1. He comes and sits next to me like I'm laying on the floor. And my cat Ellis comes and lays on my chest. And this is our routine every morning because they know that I got treats. Right. And so Chili sits and Ellis is on my chest. And I'm there for like 10 minutes, start my day, and I'm giving them little treats. Because I've learned that a cat's purr is the same frequency which will allow the repair of muscle tissue and the healing of bones. A cat's purr. Like, who knew that? I didn't know that. I just stumbled upon it. Yeah. So this is part of me, like, okay, this cat is sitting, my intention is like, I'm starting my day in this calm spot. I'm taking this energy from Ellis, this great stuff. It's the same frequency that's going to like repair things. Right.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Super cool. We should Google that. Because that might just be, no, that's a true thing. That's a true thing. I can't help, I want to give a little shout out to Mo. Mo's our producer, because when we started this afternoon's recording, I jumped on and I was a little bit nervous, and he piped on. He was like, hey, Billy, take a couple deep breaths. Just breathe. like he nailed the whole podcast before we even started the podcast. Like
Yeah.
he just intuitively, like we know this. If this was high school and we were going to the senior prom and you get a big zit in your nose, like take a couple deep breaths. Just naturally, we know to tell other people, like, do some breathing, regulate your system. Like it's kind of intuitive. We all know what to do. Sometimes it's challenging to do it when you're like in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a great point, right? Like when we're, yeah, shout out to Mo as well. But, and when it's go time, right? That's when we have to draw upon those strategies or kind of just before go time, right?
Yeah.
Because there is some amount of, nervous energy that is going to help keep us alert and, whatever, but we want to be able to move between it, right? Like that, what we were talking about before, and kind of use it to our benefit, not feel thrusted into one or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I find for me, because when I'm taking like a Pilates class at my studio or a yoga class, I work really hard. Not because I'm trying to impress anybody, not because of anything, but for me, if I have like a really challenging thing that I do, a really challenging discipline, everything after is like so much easier. If I really like kick my butt in a Pilates class and I'm doing the best I can for me, like on my own zone, not worrying about what anybody else is doing, like after, I'm like, you can't steal my piece. I've already did like this really, really challenging thing. And I find it a little bit easier to ride that parasympathetic zone after doing something intentionally challenging in a safe environment where it's kind of like structured and safe. I know I'm not going to die. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Sometimes
that.
we avoid challenging situations, you know, because we want to seek comfort and we want to be safe and all that stuff. But sometimes, doing something really challenging like that makes it a little bit easier to get back to that calm state of being in other times.
Yeah. And I mean, another thing that comes to mind with that is that part of what can help us feel safe in whatever environment is some level of confidence, right? And with confidence, like we're going to trust ourselves a little bit more. So as an emotion or thought shows up, we're going to have an anchor in some ways, right? And so with that confidence, as you're taking it into the day, it I feel like I'm going to get this quote wrong, and I probably have said it on here before wrong also, but it just still rings so true. It's you don't wait for confidence to take the leap. It's taking the leap that gets you the confidence. Right.
Nice. I like it. Mm-hmm.
I feel like I've definitely said that on here before, but I'm
Yeah.
saying it again. It's a good one.
Yeah. Well, this is how we get good at stuff. Repetition, doing the same repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to like breathing and regulating our nervous system to the best, because some things we can't regulate. I can't really regulate like how my digestive system is working and, fluctuations in my heart rate and all that. That's automatic, it doesn't really happen. But it's a continuous effort to do it. Like to get good at anything, it's just a continuous effort. Got to come back to the breath, got to sit up straight, got to like read the books, got to do this as continuous effort, because there's no like very few people have it all figured out and they're sitting in lotus on the top of the Himalayas as gurus getting it all figured out. But for the rest of us, like still doing it, still coming back to it, still breathing, still like going to therapy, being in therapy, going to class, taking class, doing all the stuff is repetition. It's the only way to get good at it.
Yeah. And right. I mean, that's why we're not called the leveled up guys, right? Like we're,
Ooh,
you like that one? Okay.
I do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're
Mhm.
right. The level up guys, like it's a constant process of let's level up. Let's level up. It's just staying after it in whatever form it comes.
Yeah. Yeah. That constant evolution, the constant striving.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That feels like a good, I mean, I'll end on any ooh of anything that I say, but how are you feel? How are you feeling? How's your nervous system?
I mean, it's feeling good. It's it's always a little bit off because so during the quarantine we shifted to all live stream classes, virtual classes,
Yeah.
And my studio was closed for 6 months. So for 6 months, and still to this day, like as I'm teaching class, there's a camera on me. And there's something called like Zoom fatigue, where you don't have like, I don't have your energy right next to me. I don't
Yeah.
have like your body language right next to me, right? So yeah, I'm calm and relaxed and all that stuff, but I also am like, oh, I'm on camera. Don't mess it up. Don't say something stupider than you normally would say. So I'm riding the balance. I'm riding the
Yeah.
wave.
I don't know if people can tell, but Bill and I are in different locations.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, he has that thing up, so his disaster, you just can't see it.
Yeah. For today, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah.
All right.
I'm feeling pretty good. I always feel, similar, right? Like it's different when we're in the same space because we're actually co-regulating each other, something I mentioned before. But
Yeah.
but what I will say is it's always a pleasure to get into these conversations with you, and I'm looking forward to the
Right
next
on.
one.
Absolutely. Yeah. So follow us, subscribe. We'll see you next time.
All right, love you, buddy.
Love you too.
That's it for today, you guys. Make sure to follow us. You can find us on all the major platforms. If you really like what you heard, maybe share it with a friend, share it with a buddy, maybe share it with an enemy, because we all need a little bit of love. We're going to level up together. See you next time.